And I think we can get started. And what we're going to do, since we only have this short time block of about 45 minutes. So each of us are going to take 5 minutes to give our perspectives on, kind of where we need to go from here. And then we'll open it up for more conversation. And I'll just say, having jumped whole hog into the A&M committee, not officially, but sort of unofficially, about a month out, it has been like a total whirlwind, complete immersive experience. And it's been really amazing. I want to give a big round of applause, especially to Dee and Tamer for their amazing work. And I'll say for myself and for so many others, this has been unbelievably uplifting and inspiring. And I feel so grateful to be a part of this amazing green family. So thank you all so much. Okay.
So yes, I also want to say thanks to the A&M committee, Jill, Butch. It crosses over with media, merch, all the other committees that were involved. I also do want to extend congratulations to Cassidy and Ann. Cassidy's now our national treasurer, and also Ann has been elected to steering. And I want to welcome back Kalia and also Cassandra. I do want to thank my other SC members, Wissam. Arshia's home, hopefully watching in now, logged in and checking us out. And I do want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Charles for all the work and effort. We've had a couple of vacancies that we needed to fill, and Charles really stepped up and has laid out a good foundation for us going forward. So thanks to everyone there.
And I also want to just acknowledge the in memoriam. There's a lovely little webpage that's posted as part of the event tee to remember some of our incredible, inspirational founders and leadership that has been amazing. I hate to single anybody out, but I really feel the absence of David Schwartzman, who was such a driving force for so many of us. So big thanks to them very much, and gratitude to her as well for all the wonderful work she did. All the speakers, all the committee people. Cam, your inspirational speech was wonderful. Medea, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. Just really appreciate all the wonderful work and all those that I should be naming, but I'm not at the moment. So thank you so much. And then very quickly, I'm going to just give a couple thoughts. I feel like there was so much that I didn't have time to do here. There were so many wonderful, inspired candidates that were really asking for advice and guidance. And I really hope that we can follow up on this in a systematic way. And maybe it would be a very small webinar, because I feel the kinds of questions people have are very generic. I'd like to really be able to offer advice, because when you run for office 20 times, you learn a lot of tricks of the trade. And I would love to be able to pass this on so people don't have to do that. We also need a committee to be providing more direct support to our candidates, whether that's a political director, to help also target areas where communities are really ready to be electing and advancing Greens as well. So we need structural organized support. And above all, like when you start a campaign, you have so much to do. There's a whole universe of things. But what you have to do, you have to have staff. You're not going to do it alone. You need a team. And in this day and age, you're not going to have a team unless you can help them keep a roof over their heads. So you know this as a candidate, you have to be able to fundraise. Doesn't mean you're raising tens of millions of dollars, but you have to be able to adequately fundraise. And as a party, we got to do that. The three staff that I would prioritize actually are fundraising director. We need from the get-go. That is like the lifeblood of any campaign. We need a full-time fundraiser. We need a full-time communications person. We need a full-time, as I said before, let's see, political director. Did I get all three of them? Okay. All right. And then for committees, we badly need a labor committee. We've been talking about getting this going for a long time. I think now is the time. And let me just add briefly that it's time for us to step up and to take ourselves very seriously. Go to the website of the UK Greens. They are now the #2 party, headed to be #1. They take themselves very seriously. They also have 2 identifiable people who are, they call, actually they have 3. They have 1 party leader and they have 2 deputy leaders, so that they can be identified, be speaking to the press. I think we need that. Also, I think we need to, and Rachel Millward, yes, yes. We can come back to that later. My time is going fast here. um, Take a look at how they've done this. They really changed their structure in order to become a leading party. We need to take a methodical look at what are different party structures. And I'm not talking about corporate parties. I'm talking about people-powered parties. There are different ways to approach this. There's democratic centrism, exemplified by PSL. And you may have seen the scathing internal review that was just released about the downside of democratic centrism. There's a big downside. And then there's this kind of open, small d democratic, decentralized, and we pay a price for that as well, inefficiency and so on. One thing that occurs to me, I've never seen a large steering committee function effectively. I would say we need to add 2 co-chairs to that steering committee, and it would just help both for purposes of representing and for making sure that the ball, excuse me, the ball isn't getting dropped. Then on the issue of committees, we mentioned labor. I think in the current climate and for the foreseeable future, we need an ICE/fascism, rising fascism committee as well, because we are in the target hairs. And we need to be helping. The work that went on here today was absolutely incredible this weekend. And we need to systematize this so that it keeps going. And I hope the people that have been involved will step up and help us either become members of existing committees or establish new committees, like for labor, like for maybe an AI and data center committee as well, to be keeping track of that, and then the fascism thing. And that's the main thing I have to, and then of course on fundraising, we need to take it seriously, but I think we need to raise our expectations to what we have shown we are capable of. And by aiming small, you can ensure you're not going to get out of that box. You want to aim big. If you don't get there, that's okay. You will next year. But I think we've seen there are irons in the fire right now, which are getting really hot, that are connected to the party. We have a lot of things we can follow up on now in order to open up some much better fundraising streams so that we can make this happen. And I'll just say, together we're unstoppable. This weekend has been absolutely amazing. You're wonderful. I love you. On to Craig.
Thank you, Jill. And thanks to everyone, because the energy is why we're here. This is the whole point. We're going to take this at momentum, move the ball forward. So if anybody knows me, I like to lay out a little bit steps and a little plan. I like to look at things kind of like Marvel has their phases. So I have a roadmap towards 2028. Personally, I think we need a little more representation. I would love to see the National Committee put through a proposal as soon as possible to allow observer status to those trying to formulate the Disability Caucus, the Indigenous Caucus, and the Arab American Muslim Caucus. And I think that would be you give them a year to then take that 50-member observer status to then springboard. They'll have the ability to interact with everything, use our resources as a national party, and we can then amplify that message, because that increases representation for everyone. And obviously there'll be a discussion amongst the NC, but I think somebody needs to take the step on that. And as you can see, I'm a person that doesn't want the SC to do that. I want the NC to come forward with that stuff, and we'll have the conversations further. I also want to see even more social media assets and toolkits. I'm on the corner of having a more centralized approach to the national organizing stuff. I want more licenses for national Canva accounts, so state parties, caucuses, committees can have toolkits in there. We have our paid media personnel that can go in and create branding kits for everybody just to tap into. A better Zoom. Sure. We need to have better Zoom room. We actually have to start fundraising for base camp, that everybody's in support of it. So we have to put more tangible asks for people. I do think that the beginning of the year, I put a call out for a lot of committees and caucuses to use webinar features. And I do think having those immediate webinars in the winter time, winter months, led to having these great panelists here at this A&M. And I think that gives you that relationship building that you need to do in the off seasons, especially in winter. Outreach, we've talked about it. We need a strong outreach committee. We need a chair and co-chair that has a good organizing background, that has relationships and contacts with other organizations that we associate with. We do have a lot of relationships with PSL, DSA crossover, Workers Strike Back, Code Pink, Uhuru 3. We need to have somebody that has some other innovative approaches to come in and work with outreach. Outreach can then also be the springboard for any other movement building. Let's say the flotilla effort. Wouldn't it have been great to have an outreach committee that was contacted, that could have had a green representative involved with that? That would have helped the party immensely. I do think our presidential candidates should have an advisory role with that outreach committee, because they do have a lot of relationships, and that can help obviously bolster the strength behind the committee. Basically, the next thing I would want to do is I want our new SC that's elected to work on a subcommittee to target and address these dormant state parties. We need to get advanced to that now to have a stronger 2028. So that's going to be one of the goals I push through. We're back to now financing. I would love to have a higher budget. I would love to see a measured budget of at least a target of 350, and then the second tier of 400,000 for 27, and then 500 to 600,000 for 2028. I like to say a lot, we make the most with the least. That's my phrase. We eventually will get to $1 million budget, but we have to scale properly so we can actually manage that money properly and effectively too, because we need to make sure accountability is upheld. The next thing is a green guild. So a lot of people like taglines and phrases and things. I think we desperately need to recruit volunteers for specific roles, like accountants, lawyers, local farmers, and artists. I don't think we're tapping into skill sets properly, and I don't think we're recruiting and asking for volunteers the right way. So I would love to have a further conversation with that. And finally, Jill brought it up. I have another word that we need to embrace, another L word that we need to embrace, not Peter's L word. He's all about love. I'm all about labor. And to me, labor is love. We need to find a way to bring in some other organizers, advise us, and get a labor committee going. I'll yield my time. Thank you.
So I didn't want to slow down the proceedings by having a third round of thanks. So I'll open my comments with expressions of gratitude for everyone who's made this meeting possible. Thank you to all of the volunteers, committee, all of you who've made the trip. And it's been a beautiful gathering. The first thing that I think that I'll say is that it's really, really important that we do these meetings in person. And we need to be aiming to make that happen for next year, and that planning process needs to start. There was a trans woman that came to an event in Anaheim, and she came up to me after she heard me speak. She said, "I've been following you online for 1.5 years now. I've never volunteered or donated to a political campaign. I can't donate because I'm currently homeless, but I will volunteer for your campaign." And she said, "The reason why is because I've now shared space with you, broken bread with you, listened to you talk." And she said, "Energy don't lie." Do y'all feel me, right? So what nourishes any revolution is a connection of the hearts. And we can get work and business done over Zoom, but we have to be able to actually be in person, break bread, connect at a spiritual level. We need to sing songs together, listen to poetry together, have bad dances together. All of those things need to, I didn't stay for that, just so you know. Listen, listen, I'm not going to take the 1 minute of time that Craig yielded in order to adjudicate the dancing. So, but all that's just to say that it's really important that we continue to do this and break bread together. I'm going to close with three kind of things that I think of as crucial in lighting the way forward. And I'll just briefly say that before I was dragged into electoral politics, I've dedicated my life to trying to study, teach, understand, and actually manifest, instantiate, and embody um, different aspects of the Black liberation and revolutionary traditions. That's what my academic work has been about. That's what I study, and then I've also been doing that work in community. And what I want to say, drawing from those lessons, is that we cannot miss this moment because we are not going to get it back. This particular moment of crisis inside capitalism, imperialism, and white supremacy is pregnant with unusual possibilities for revolutionary transformative change. And if we do not step up to the table and seize this moment, then this moment will pass. And no one is going to come riding to the rescue. Team Blue is not going to come to the rescue. We know Team Red ain't going to come to the rescue. With all due respect, DSA and PSL ain't going to come riding to the rescue either. We are going to have to build the electoral political mechanism that is going to serve as a bulwark against the end of human civilization. And what that means is that we need to be deathly serious about committing to building the political infrastructure of this party. We lack boots on the ground. We lack political presence in the communities where we are going to need to be the strongest. That should be our principal focus going into 2028. That's what we were building on the ground in the state of California and what we are still building on the ground even after our campaign is over, because that political infrastructure is our political survival. Everyone needs to be building that at a state level, at a chapter level, at your county level. Second thing is none of that takes place without resources. It takes a war chest to fight a war. Fundraising has to be absolutely serious. And I try to model that there is no gathering that is not a fundraising gathering anymore. If you have any meeting of any kind, pass the motherfucking hat. And everybody has to kick in because it takes resources in order to carry out this struggle. The last thing that I'm going to say is that we need to be very serious about scaling up the capacity of this political party as an organization. And that means a critical, conscious, but practical reflection on how we take that which makes these Greens so special, which is an ethic of decentralization and autonomy and the capacity for like independent free thought, which you don't find in a lot of leftist organizations, which are very centrist and dogmatic, and they model authoritarian communism essentially in a lot of the ways that they move. And part of what's beautiful about the Greens is that we have that capacity for a decentralized approach, and it is also a structurally inhibiting factor in our growth. So we need to reflect carefully, plan carefully, and organize in order to keep that ethic and those values of decentralization and autonomy as we scale into the political party that is needed to end the dominance of the uniparty over American politics. So with that, I'll end.
Yeah, we were going to take comments, questions, et cetera. And yeah, let's see. So Gloria, I think, Gloria, I'm not sure if we do. Yeah.
We can take the floor.
Yeah.
We can go to the podium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great. We have a volunteer to walk the mic around. All right. You. Let's see. I think Gloria had her hand first, and our gentleman friend in the front here is second, and then the man in the yellow shirt is third. And maybe let's take a batch of questions, and then maybe we'll have.
If there's any in the chat,
Okay, thank you. And I won't go on with more thank yous and acknowledgements. People know what that's like, but so it's really taking off on what Butch said. And so I think there is something that we can take from the more left discipline parties. And it's something that I witnessed, or they may not call it that, when I went to the Pittsburgh Green session. And I call it's revolutionary self-critique. Right. And they may have done it different. They may call it something different, but it's really, I mean, it's a little paraphrase. It's political and historical practice of personal and collective evaluation. Right. It is looking at kind of openly and honestly looking at our mistakes, looking at what we haven't been doing right, and course correcting that, admitting it, not pushing it under the rug, not using the word decentralization as an excuse for that we didn't get to do it right. I mean, it means different things to different people. Maybe we need to work on that. And so I think that my suggestion and my conversations with that group is we'd like to present that as a webinar for many people to see, even though they can watch them. I think they probably want to face it up, and that we can develop a template and recommend for locals and for states to try and follow that, right? To create a balance sheet, as they would say in the left, right, of that. And another part of that would be, at some point, I would like to see, we have a very unwieldy platform. People are doing a lot of work. It has a lot of contradictory things and language, stuff like that. It's fine. I don't want to tell people to go look at our platform. I want a program. And that's very different. We don't have a program. Maybe we vote on it every year. Maybe it's every 2 years, but it would address the things like abolish ICE, right? And things like that. Like, what is current and what's our principles? I agree with everything in terms of fundraising, in terms of staff, in terms of political education. There's so much more to say, but I'm passing it to someone else. Thanks.
My name is Adam Guyman, and I like what you mentioned earlier about the Disability Caucus, because I've been hearing a lot of discussion about how there's not enough people to actually create the caucus. But I was talking with someone else, and they said something about how there's the Elder Caucus, but yet this person had mentioned to me that he said that basically the Elder Caucus has so many people in it that it almost seems like it's overrepresented. And I don't know if there's a way that the party could either change some of the rules so that if, let's say, not everyone who is, in the party, if there's not enough people who are disabled to actually be part of the caucus itself, then, because it seems like there's a barrier, and there needs to be something that needs to be changed as well, if you know what I'm saying.
Great, thank you.
Steve Bloom, I'm from New York. Taking off again from Butch's vision that he's presented in so many spaces this weekend, which is just beautiful, and Jill as well. I want to talk about July 26th in the history of humanity. For those who may not know, July 26, 1953, the date that Fidel Castro and Che Guevara undertook the raid on the Moncada barracks. And linking this up to us and our next steps, those people who were conscious in the mid-1950s of the future of humanity and the struggle would have told you the odds against the victory of the Cuban Revolution were minimal. 5.5 years later, they were marching into Havana to usher in the next phase of the Cuban Revolution. So The lesson is that history is full of all kinds of unexpected stuff. For people who have confidence in themselves, believe in themselves, and have a vision of what the future needs to be. So I'm going to leave it at that because Jill and Butch have said everything else. And everyone else, there's so many beautiful things. I say this inspired by this weekend about who we are and what we are as a party. I'm in my seventh decade of activism in the fight for human liberation and my sixth decade of active organizing. It takes a lot for me to come out of an event feeling inspired. And I can't tell you how inspired I am by this weekend.
Hi. Yeah, I agree. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Um, I was wondering if we have what we have planned for 2028, or if we have planned around that, because from my understanding, it's kind of the intersection of the memorandum of understanding with Israel that Obama had expiring. The United Auto Workers, I believe, are planning to have a general strike in 2028. And the Democratic Socialists of America, I believe, have made like a resolution or something to have an independent non-Democrat candidate by 2028. Um, it seems like a lot of things are all kind of boiling up, getting ready for in 2 years. And I feel like in 2028, if I didn't say this now, I'd regret it. Like there's a specific year where it seems like everything's going to culminate, and we have time to prepare for it. Are we? What should we do? Is this something that's been? It's only really whenever the memorandum of understanding with Obama was brought up that I really realized how many things are intersecting. Have we, like, there was Project 2025 that the Heritage Foundation had. Is there a Green Party Project 2028?
Hi, I'm Rita Maniotis from Wisconsin, and I just wanted to let everybody know that Michael Arndt, who is one of the candidates for Congress from Wisconsin, and myself, out of our workshop last year, we worked on for a whole year to get a proposal together. We're calling it GTA because of Grand Theft Auto. It's the Government Transparency and Accountability Committee, and that could encompass AI, data centers. This is holding government accountable, and we're trying to get this passed. It's actually in a discussion right now. It will be voted on. We have people from 9 different states already who are interested in being part of this committee and have helped to put the proposal together this last year. And we would welcome people to join and have a subcommittee on AI, have a subcommittee on data centers. So anyway, I'm just letting you know that that exists, and hopefully it will pass.
Hi, everyone. My name is Griselda Romero. I'm also a candidate here for the state of Illinois with ED. So I'm going to just be speaking from a candidate's perspective. I'll try to keep it really short. This is my first time running as a candidate. By my day job, I'm a mental health professional. I serve the community in that sense during crisis, okay? And I'm hoping, I really like everything that happened and everything that's being discussed. And I just hope that the momentum continues as I try to go into these different organizations and listen in on what they're doing, trying to build coalition. After we do these protests, nothing is happening after the fact. I'm like, we need to maintain this momentum. If everyone's inspired right now, what are we going to do to keep this fire going? We need to keep it moving. And there's a lot of suggestions that was made. I agree with all of them. I hope that we can build towards them because I do believe we have tremendous power and we have something to actually build a better future. And I believe in that, right? So I'm going to keep holding on to that vision. But as a candidate, I really believe that we need a lot of support. Me being my first time, I'm winging it. Googling stuff, trying to research stuff, looking at other candidates, see what they're doing. We need more support. I know there's a little space in base camp, but what can we do to support one another as candidates, but also training for that as well to kind of like groom us getting ready, like on how to be more presentable, right? To catch the attention and to get ourselves out there, get on that stage, right? Because Democrats do control that stage, right? So we have to find out tactics and measures for us to get ourselves out there as well. I think this is very, very important and to gain that traction, you know? So I try to do as much work as I can in the community and out there, but I get censored very much a lot, and I have been for a long time since 2024. But I think candidates really need support, and even the ones that are going right now, if we have that opportunity, let's help each other right now so we can try to get ourselves out there as well and build up for 2028 as well.
Because there have been so many profound interventions, we're gonna just respond to these quickly and then take another round, if that makes sense. And we'll just get in where we fit in. So I want to respond to the last question by connecting it with the concrete game plan for 28 question. And this was in my notes, but I was trying to keep to my 5 minutes. We built inside our campaign in the state of California, I mean, we had a comms team, you know, of a half dozen people. We had, you know, we built a lot of resources that it seems ludicrous to have all of that effort, time, and energy squandered when the messaging that so many candidates can use going, you know, on questions like healthcare, housing, education, divestment from genocide, and those things are essentially plug and play issues for every Green candidate. So I'm happy to, as you know, we're finishing the wind down for Butch Ware for Governor 2026, if there's a way that we can get a webinar for all of the candidates, a clearinghouse of like resources, you know, including but some kind of support from the party to facilitate putting all of those resources which we developed and which should not be squandered at the disposition of great, you know, candidates such as yourself or Ngonen Yang or whoever else is running, right? This is what a party is supposed to do. Every candidate is not supposed to have to reinvent the wheel every single time that they run for office, right? And that's absolutely critical towards, you know, building the pieces that are going to be necessary because, you know, and I appreciate the nature of Jason's intervention. I do think it matters that we make a decision. And by the way, Jason was maybe alluding to me. I'm not promising to run for a goddamn thing. Because the reason is because we do not yet have this infrastructure, right? So if we want talented, qualified candidates to run for major offices, then we need to be building out the roster and strengthening candidates across the board so that we've got people that are having successful, even if they don't win the office, they can still be successful campaigns for state senate or state legislature or Congress and so forth. So we need to be thinking strategically about how strengthening campaigns, recruiting candidates now, it has to be critical, and supporting the candidates that are running now is a critical part of actually having that success for 28. Yes, definitely, we need a vision, we need a plan, and we need we need to Tetris the shit out of this thing, right? And start putting the blocks together so that we can build a foundation.
And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I think we badly need a political director to ensure that we have these supports. We have some person who is accountable for making this happen. And that would include some kind of a support group for candidates so that as we've said, you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel and figuring this out yourself. We need the same thing for state parties and local chapters. We need a set of best practices. We need model bylaws. We need model position statements, things like that. All that should be done. And we also need help on databases and technology. And maybe that starts under the rubric of the political director, but you want to be hiring enough people so that you have people to actually do this. Let's see, and then a couple other. Exactly. We've got to start right away as well. And, you know, I want to say that I would commit to, you know, to hosting a series of hands-on webinars for candidates so you can get the advice and the kind of the shortcuts and the tricks of the trade, like how to make your videos and how to make them come off in a much more professional way. There are ways to do this that it took me many years to figure out. So, I will personally commit to doing that. I also have a lawsuit. I am, I'm on trial. And suddenly it's going to happen, so I have to focus on staying out of jail. So I can't I can't commit right now, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks I can do that. And I'm sure there are other experienced candidates who've been around the blocks. We need the same thing for campaign managers. We need the same thing for treasurers, for state parties, treasurers for campaigns as well. All of these things, they're not rocket science, but if you're trying to figure it out yourself, it's just unbelievably hard. So all this needs to be systematized. And I think, a political director could go a long way to help make this happen. We also need legal counsel. If we're out there, on the front lines with ICE and, being targeted in various ways that we need to have an attorney on retainer or pro bono or something. We need criminal defense, and we also need ballot access, but we need legal counsel. It's really critical. We used to have it. We don't anymore. And okay, I'll stop
Let me
there.
get Butch on direct.
Yeah, I just wanted to underline something Jill said really quickly before passing back to Craig. So what Jill just improvised with respect to the best practices and providing templates, that's exactly the kind of thing that we're talking about when we think about how we have the ethic of decentralization maintained, but also have like core values, repeatable, right? If you go to a franchise and the food that they serve is nothing like the food that they serve in the other franchises, people are going to be disappointed with the meal that they get. So having some kind of best practices across the board, just so that folks, know. And then the last thing I just want to mention really quickly was that the California Greens have undertaken this just in the aftermath of what the Secretary of State did to our campaign, started to recruit an internal legal team just so that we have because they're not going to stop. So we need to literally be prepared for, you guys may have forgotten, but they're trying to send Jill to prison for getting beat up by the cops at a pro-Palestine protest, right? At WashU. So, and they're not going to stop coming after her or me or any of us. So we need to be prepared.
So yeah, I was just going to interject with a couple things. So until we can get those resources, that money to hire those people, we need to capitalize our committees. We need to onboard. There's a vacancy on the CCC for officer, and there's also vacancies for members. The Coordinated Campaign Committee. So we have to take advantage of what we have, elevate how we can. We need people to get on board with that. We have candidates running right now that need support. While we don't have all the money to give them, we can still give them social media advice, all the other stuff that people have been asking for. And that's nice thing about new SC. We all get new liaison assignments. We all get to talk about this and deliberate this the next couple of weeks, but we will get moving right away. That's why we want to put a roadmap out now for 2028, and we want to all work on this together. I mentioned the three caucuses that I think deserve observer status. I think that's all I have to say on that. That's pretty point clear. I think that answers that. And I appreciate the committee and that there's different proposals for new committees and stuff. I would love to see amendments to make those committees truthfully more accessible.
We're about out of time, but maybe we can at least hear the comments from online. Sorry. We're just about out of time, but maybe we can hear the comments. Do you want to read them? Great.
Someone from doesn't say where he's from. His name is Alex. He said, how do we volunteer or get a paid position if a local county or chapter is no longer operating? I've been trying to get involved in reaching out for several months.
Great question.
I have a second question as well from Beatty. The DNC as an corporation officially doesn't have to be fair internally. As a corporation, though, is there disregard for rules and misuse of process cause for RICO charges? including Janet Yellen's overreach on denying matching funds during the primary. The Elders Caucus is unofficially gathering of Greens. They do not have any votes in the NC, and I don't think there's any other questions.
I have a suggestion because we only have like 2 minutes, if even, that we not take time to respond right now, because all of these really deserve extensive discussion, but I think it's very helpful to hear all the really great ideas that people have. So if we could do like a lightning round of maybe five or so, just quick comments. Oh yeah, and for you to know, we actually have to clean up. So part of our extending this discussion a little bit is that everybody here is being recruited to help with the cleanup. Tamer will instruct us on exactly what we need to do. I think that includes piling the chairs. Is that right? That's probably the biggest task is stacking the chairs. But if we have many hands, it makes light work. Okay, so can we just see hands for how many comments we have? So if, yeah, why don't you come up in line? We got 5. So lightning round, we're going to hold it to 1 minute, no more. Okay.
As a former academic, I think there's a little bit, I'm going to indulge and use the term ivory tower view. So I think there's a little ivory tower perspective coming from the dais. It's not the same to have 3 million people in a small, well, in a large city or a small state as to have half that number in a large spread out state that's largely rural. So they're different things. And some of the stuff you described, Jill, was exactly what the CCC did for years, and all those resources should still be available.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Chibu. I'm with the Illinois Green Party. I'm also a co-chair for the campaign coordinating committee. So if you're a candidate and haven't been able to get connected yet, if you are a campaign manager and have the experience, or if you have labor that you're willing to do, please come talk to me after you've passed up one of your chairs. I will be over there.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you doing? My name is Robert L. Gross. I am the mayoral candidate for Washington, D.C. We're out here with the D.C. Statehood Green Party. So again, in 1971, the Statehood Party was created. In 1999, it was merged together with the Green Party in 1999 with David Schwartzman's assistance. I think our messaging does need to be more aligned. I say if we can show off that we are eco-friendly, fiscally responsible, and culturally progressive, a real movement geared towards the working class with the assistance of responsibly integrated artificial intelligence, then we can actually show off that we are keeping up with the times. And as mentioned, I'm glad that we are having a new committee on all of this stuff, because I think that this is just new technology that is progressing with everybody else, and we are right there in the forefront of it. I look forward to getting closer to all of you throughout these next couple months. And yeah, DC Statehood and the Green Party USA. Oh, okay. And please look up my account. Please check me out at grossformayor.com. I put so much into this thing.
Right. Okay. Tom Yeager, I'm the co-chair of the Green Party of Virginia. I want to say for upcoming elections, please stop dumping ballot access on our presidential campaign. Oh, we have it greatly limits what we can do. Well, like instead of doing outreach, instead of getting out the vote, instead of making new coalitions, our presidential campaign is fighting just to get on the ballot, and this creates a lot of friction also between the campaign and our state parties. It really creates a lot of stress and unnecessary friction. And I wanted to say that we have never planned for the future. We are the future focus. We've never had a plan for the future. Net zero 2050, and it's 2050, and And you can't realistically just shut off all the fossil fuels on overnight. So like if we have like maybe 2036 to get things started, to get the party off the ground. It is getting late into the fourth quarter, folks. We're behind. We need to catch up.
I just wanted to offer people to contact me if you want to learn more about campaigning. I ran several campaigns, and if you notice the workshop that I did or the speech, I had a lot more to say that I didn't get to say. So we can Zoom one-on-one. I'm happy to participate in an online webinar or workshop about how to run a campaign and be a candidate successfully. You can probably find me just by Googling Cam Gordon. If that doesn't work, add Minnesota or Minneapolis to it, and you're sure to find me. Thanks.
While Tom Yeager is right that we don't want to put all the burden on the presidential campaigns to get us ballot status, for those of you who weren't here at my presentation before, the number of states in which we're running candidates has gone way down, and the number of candidates and the number of states. And the way we get on the ballot in many states is that the presidential matching funds that we qualify are legally able to be used for the signature drives which qualify us, which actually in many cases can't qualify us until 2028. The reason I grabbed the mic, some of you already knew that, is that when the Democrats were in a couple of years ago and they had the House, their For the People Act bill was designed to gut the presidential matching funds as an option for the Green Party, because that would mean we'd be off the ballot because we couldn't qualify for the matching funds to pay for the signature drives to get on the ballot. And if the Democrats bounce back in 2026, already they've raided the matching funds. About 90% of the money is gone and went to the Secret Service. They did that quietly in a bill about a year and a half ago. And if the Democrats get power again, they could try and cut us off at the knees and take all of that money. So we won't have the money to get on the ballot except raising that money in other ways.
The worrying about matching funds is really not what we should be doing. Fundraising, like I said,
Inshallah.
early and leave the FEC out of it for matching funds. It's way more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, a longer discussion, but yeah, there are definitely.
Rachel Broughton, Minnesota. I perceive a procedural issue that is holding GPUS back. Seriously? I am eating this thing. I've been in the National Committee for 3 years, and soon after I joined as a delegate, there was a new state party created, the Green Party of South Dakota. And I'm from North Dakota originally. I was so proud and so happy. And about a half year later, they were no longer a party because they apparently didn't vote for 6 months in the National Committee, or they didn't have a delegate or something like that. And they just drop off, and it's happened recently again. And so if we want state parties to remain in existence, I think the National Committee should at least have one person who is outreaching to new parties. And I think that the GPUS should be giving new state parties at least a small chest to help them with some resources to get started. Thank you.
1 minute? Yeah.
Hi.
Everybody needs to help on the chair starting.
My name is Craig Bolton. I'm the chair of the Philadelphia Green Party, and I am a candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania this year, along with Anthony Dastra. Dastra for PA. We are about to enter a legal battle, as we always do, to get ballot access. We're gathering signatures. Tony's locking it in now, but we are predicting that we're going to be going to court over it. Also, for this convention in particular, I'm putting together a conceptualized viable campaign for next year for Philadelphia City Council in a very vulnerable district. It's Chris Rabb's district. And I learned a lot here, and I can't wait to come back next year and actually start working on that campaign as well. So thank you, everyone.
All right.
So with that, big thank you, big hugs to everyone, just huge appreciation. We are so pumped. We are so ready. The world needs us to be here doing what we're doing right now. Let's make it happen.